listening to the questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the questionnaires.
I've just started. Right here, for your ears, for your eyes.
The questionnaire.
Get your comic on.
Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
Mike, what are you doing? You working on something over there?
Yeah, I'm kind of in between jobs right now, but I thought I would do a drawing of Ben Grimm today while we're chatting, because thing I do on this show is mostly I draw in the background, like that swamp thing you see in the background of Jay's screen there. That's one that I drew in the first time I was on the show. But I'm in between gigs right now. I just finished a big Conan project, and I'm just kind of waiting for the next turn of the wheel, so to speak.
What was the Conan thing?
It's a cover for Savage Sword of Conan. So I did a big huge painting for the main story is issue 7 out next month, or this month. It's a Roy Thomas story, so it's just classic old Conan stuff. Like he's hunting a witch, but she sends a were-tiger after him. So I got to just draw Conan fighting a big were-tiger, which is just like right up my alley. So yeah. But,
I think my buddy's maybe in that next issue. I just saw the finished story from him, from Chris Burnham.
Oh, cool! Right on.
Real disgusting, and it's got like a snake lady, but she has like a row of 1,000 breasts, and then she has babies, and he has to fight the babies, and they're it's like Conan like chopping up babies.
I think this might be the same thing. Yeah, I haven't been given any interior notes, just that it's a Roy Thomas story and there's a witch, but that sounds very much in line. So
yeah,
that's
fun.
The
black and white one, right?
Sorry, yeah, the black and white one. Yeah. I'm just kind of in this weird nebulous zone. I just knocked out a whole year of Turtles covers and stuff and different things, so I've just been kind of catching my breath a little bit and figuring out what happens next. So,
well, as long as neither of you gentlemen have said anything that you carry, everything's fine as far as to put on the show. Yeah. All right, then look, this is Uncanny Valley. I'm not going to start by reading it because, life is chaos and that is truth. But if you pick up that issue, you might find out that was the first word because it's a great read, right? We got Mike Rooth in the house, man, Uncouth doing it up, right? Always in the background, as well as Tony Fleecs coming back, man. Yeah, now we're going to get to a thing.
I believe.
Your what?
My 4th appearance, maybe my 3rd appearance. I don't know. I feel like I never left.
I don't know. But it's always a joy to have you on, Tony. I'm going to be real honest. But before we get into anything, real quick, a word from our sponsor, Studio Comics.
With the questionnaire.
So we've edited this awesome commercial to get you off.
90% off.
We are not giving 90% off.
No, I mean 9.
How about 20?
The only thing that you have to do is enter that code that you have right there.
9.
No, 20.
10.
How about 20?
I'm printing your comics today with Studio Comics Press.
Just use this code right here. Right here. Right here. Look, I put it somewhere. All right. It's probably actually right here. Right here. Right. It's right under your chin. It says Quest24.
That code you gotta enter in our website, and then you will get a women discount of 20% in any of the items or products that we have on the website.
9.
20.
9.
20%.
9.
All right.
9.
He wants to give you 9% off. I, as well as Alfonso over there on Studio Comics, want to give you 20% off.
You can get it right there with this amazing code. Just enter it right here. Yeah, just right there. There.
Use that code over at Studio Comics to get 20% off.
Thank you very much. This is a special one for all our friends of the questionnaire.
All right. And now we're back, man. I mean, you heard Tony and Mike chatting it up while I was dealing with the boy, because, children, man, what can you do? Sometimes they get annoyed because their guinea pig's too loud. How are you going to get annoyed from a guinea pig being too loud? And I walk in here and all I hear about is a snake lady with 1,000 boobs. And I'm like, what did I just walk into? Which is not something that normally happens on the questionnaire.
Just trying to bring extra value to the questionnaire.
That's it.
What people like.
More visuals,
Yeah.
Look, I'm pretty sure if I put up some of the visuals from the interiors of Conan, I don't think I could put the show up on YouTube. I have to.
Probably not.
Oh, that's
maybe. Yeah.
So when it's artwork, sometimes you can get away with it.
Yeah. That's true.
Let's
try it. Let's test it out. I'm just gonna draw butts and stuff. And
That's
no.
Find
butts
out
and
what's
breasts.
those
How long
bulge
before the
marks will
video
be.
gets pulled down? Oh my god. Oh, God. I don't know. It is funny to think about that they would pull you down for that, and some of the other things that they wouldn't pull you down for. But that said, that's neither here nor there. And man, like I said, it's chaos. Look, Uncanny Valley. I just got to say, Tony, I'm a little upset. There's only going to be 3 more issues.
Me too. I would
Um,
love to do that book forever.
yeah, that book has been phenomenal. I think from everything I've seen with Steamboat Mickey since it's become just free to use for whoever wanted it, I think that's the best use I've seen by far.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was first of all, the book is ending in 3 issues, and we're doing the full story. Like it's always been planned as like a complete finished thing. So we're getting to the end of it. It's going to be the way we envisioned it when we started it. But when we started like outlining it and writing it, like I had this story sketched in for a long time, but when I was actually like breaking down the story and filling in the details, I knew that the villain was this sort of like today it would look sort of like a classic Disney, like a Maleficent or like a Night on Bald Mountain character, you know. And then I also knew that when we did that flashback issue that we were going to learn that it started out as a little Steamboat Willie type, like a little black and white Oswald the Lucky Rabbit style character. And then as we were putting the story together, that's when Mickey was going into the public domain. And so I asked the editors, I was like, could we do that? That sounds like even better than just, you know, doing like a pastiche if we just do the real thing. And so they were like, let me check. And they went to legal and they checked and they were like, yeah, it sounds fine. So, and in that issue, there's a bunch of other public domain cartoons and stuff. And so we sort of got to do a little bit of our like Roger Rabbit crossover type stuff in that one without having it be like, I feel like with all the emotional stuff that we do in the rest of the series, it'd be distracting if it was just like, oh, here's, you know, Droopy Dog and, you know, Fred Flintstone and stuff. But
Is Fred
doing
Flintstone
in the public domain? No.
Is he okay? That's what. Yeah, I didn't think he was in public domain.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
and stuff like that could be distracting. So, so yeah, for the rest of this thing, it's all pretty much going to be our characters with a little bit of, you know, you might see Steamboat Mickey again, but yeah, it's 3 more issues. They're going to be pretty big time. Dave he's coloring issue 9 right now, and I still have to write the very last one. But yeah, it's coming together.
I've very much enjoyed it, and like I said on the before the quest, man, Scott's saying please more local, man, from you and Tim, right?
Seeley and I are working on. We're doing a 5-issue thing this year that's not local, man, but it's still the 2 of us doing everything, you know, like just trying something different for it. Sort of like the way Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips will just do a different one every once in a while, you know, and then we'll get back to, we're like a less talented Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips.
Don't sell yourself short, but what can you tell us about that, Tony?
It's like it's going to be like a fantasy horror thing. Without saying too much, it's like when you hear what it is, it sort of fits right in the center of what I do and what Seeley does. So it's like if you take Stray Dogs and you take Hack Slash and you like crash them into each other, there would be what this thing is. And when you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, exactly. So that'll be later this year. Probably in like October-ish. We're aiming for October because it's a horror thing and want to put it out in spooky season.
That's just, and you two are an intriguing combo, I will say. When I very first had you on the questionnaire, Tony, and which has been, God, that's been a while.
Years.
It's literally been. It might have been. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was 23. I'm not exactly sure what in there, but it's approaching 2 years. But I never would have thought of you and Tim working together. You know,
if it was 23, we would have already been working together. It would have been maybe just right when Local Man was about to come out.
Okay, well,
That
no, then it was farther back than that. Look, man, I told Chaos. I
Yeah.
don't know, like because no, I think when I initially,
Maybe we
Let's
just
start-
discussed Stray Dogs. Maybe it was just that. Because
Yeah, 'cause
in between
I'm-
Stray Dogs and Local Man, there's not too much.
I'm pretty. You guys hadn't started dropping Local Man. God, you make me wish I had like a full list of everything in the like what I need in front of me when I do this. But like I said, sometimes it's chaos, man. You know, so.
But you
Uh.
were saying you wouldn't picture the two of us working together. You're saying.
I mean, not when I initially met you, Tony. I just didn't, and look, and I
a classier guy, like more tasteful than that.
Look, I got 10 coming up here on a PanCon, man. Don't
Okay.
and that's going to be awesome too. We're going to get into that economy of superheroes with a heck of a cast of individuals over here. Tim, Kevin, a couple others. Shiro's going to be on there. It's going to be, Phil. I always forget one out of the 5 when I'm running off a PanCon, and half the time it's a different one. It's kind of funny. Fred Kennedy. Look, I remembered them all. That's kind of amazing.
Congrats.
So yeah, we're gonna be getting into that, man. So don't get Tim mad at me, Tony. Come on, man.
What did you mean? What do you mean you didn't see the two of us meshing together?
No, I'm not saying. I just didn't see you guys necessarily working together. I don't know who knows everybody, but just with what you've done, more than in writing together. And now, mind you, when I say that, with what you guys have put out, I'm very, very glad that you have. You know, because Local Man, if for anyone out there, if you just I would honestly say if you kind of like watch and enjoy just comic book stuff in general as it's put out in the medium, and you want to go and and you're kind of older, you know, like at least in your 20s, I would say, you know, 18, 20.
Like us.
You know, I mean, you ain't got to be this old. You ain't got to have the gray beards going on, right? But if you're at least 18, 20 and you wanted to just jump in something, Local Man is one of the things that I would recommend if you were into capes and cows as well as kind of a bit of a realistic story. Because I don't know, man. There's just something about that book because you made a superhero book, you and Tim, that was so human. But right, there's something else that you have coming up, Tony. Right. I guess it's also initially when I met you, I thought of you far more of an artist than a writer when you were very first on. Because because you already had. Okay, yeah, Farrell, yeah, you hadn't dropped Local Man the first time you were on. I know that for a fact. I'm having to run it back a while, dude. And there's been over 200 of these at this point. You know what I mean? So things blend in my brain. What can I say? But speaking of things.
Hold on. If you're before we segue, if you are listening to this and you do want to check out Local Man after that glowing endorsement, in June there's a complete hardcover coming out. We just sent all the files to Image. It's 600 pages. It's like an omnibus. I think it's $60. It has all 16 issues, all the covers, all the pinups, sketchbook stuff, process stuff, and it has a special section that shows like process stuff of all the B covers we did that were from like original OG Image Comics artists. So like you get to see like their ink work and their layouts sometimes, and so anything that we had to sort of throw in there. And then it's got like a little bio, and we even found like these old 90s photos of most of them. So it's like, you know, a picture of Todd Knock from the 90s or Wills Portasio from the 90s, or that great picture of Norm Ratman from like the Extreme Studios tour book where he has just like long hair and just looks super metal. So keep an eye out for that. And if you don't like to spend $60 when you're just trying something out, you can also just get Local Man in 3 volumes that are out now in any comic book store or Amazon or wherever.
And also, if I've done my job properly, you can scroll down a little bit in the description and hopefully find all that really quick. But that's if I've done my job proper, and that's all I'm going to leave. We're just going to leave it at that. You can probably go back to one of Tony's past interviews and click a link and find all that too. You know what I mean? So just in case I don't do my job proper on this one, I did know for a fact that I did a job proper on when Tony was on in the past, right?
Yeah.
I might have just copied and pasted the one from when Tony was on last time and posted them on here, and that should work, right? You know, go to image.com and it's imagecomics.com, isn't it?
I think imagecomics.com.
Yeah, imagecomics.com.
Speaking of things.
Yes. Speaking of things, Tony.
To roll us back on into the segue.
I'm intrigued.
Yes.
Like when I found out that you were doing a thing book, especially with it's y'all have already seen it and it didn't drop today, but I'm definitely telling you when this episode or when this particular quest was recorded. And in fact, and I'm telling you today they released the first trailer for the Fantastic Four film. I want to know, man, with you picking up a thing book at this time, do you feel a little bit of extra pressure knowing that they're about to hopefully be done right for the first time in film?
No, I mean, if anything, that makes me feel a little bit relieved, right? Like that people will be interested in the character when the book is out, and there might be like hopefully people will buy the collection that's out or whatever's out by the time the movie comes out. Hopefully that those two things work together. Yeah, I feel the immense pressure, whether or not there's a movie or not, to not do a crappy superhero comic, especially whenever I go into these big two books, and it hasn't been that many times, but anytime that I do, I sort of feel the pressure of this is like the 1,000th one of these. And so what can I do to do something that feels original, but still feels like it's supposed to feel? And then is it possible for me to get my voice out there while still having it sound like the character's voice? I feel all the same amount of pressure that I would normally feel, which is a ton, but it's not extra because of the movie. If anything, the movie makes me feel a little bit more relieved, I'm not just trying to sell a thing book, on a regular Wednesday. It's like on a Wednesday where people are psyched about the thing.
Mike, I'm just you ain't said nothing. I'll be real honest, and I know the thing is one of your guys, man. Right? I've seen you draw some beautiful pieces of the thing, and I feel like you have questions on that I don't. Not that I don't have 1,000 questions. Everybody that watches the show knows I always got 1,001 questions. But I like to let the co-host act, because sometimes I'm like, should I shut up so they can say something?
Well, Mike is definitely muted, so no matter what, we take care of that first.
That's true, Mike. What happened? Mike muted himself.
There, I can hear you.
Back? All right.
All right. You see, now you can ask the question, Mike, because we can hear you.
No, I mean, I'm just super happy for you when I saw that there was a new Thing series coming out. I mean, it would be lame for me to tell you how important the Thing is in my life right now, but he's super important and has been he's the reason I got into comics. He's the reason I draw. I don't know. It's a pretty big deal. So it remains my Moby Dick in a lot of ways, to get a chance to work on the Thing. I've worked on a ton of licensed Marvel stuff, but every time I get a Marvel license gig, whether it's for cards or whether it's for billiard room sets or whatever pool cues, whatever I'm drawing, for whatever reason, I always get this contract at the same time that the Fantastic Four is a forbidden property for me to touch. So I've done lots of Marvel stuff, but I've never gotten to draw the Thing in a professional capacity. When I saw the series was coming out, I was super stoked. When I saw that you were attached to it, and then I saw my friend Leonard Kirk was drawing it, it just blew my head apart, because I think Leonard, I don't know that there's anyone that does a better job of the Thing than Leonard Kirk. And I say this as a guy who, draws the Thing all the time, but Leonard is a whole other, he's a monster. And I know he's going through a bit of a hard time right now, but I saw that and I got really excited. Just seeing that old thing branding show up as a thing in my previews is just incredible. So I'm just really happy for you guys. I can't wait to see what you do. But I get that there's pressure on the character that old and that powerful, and powerful in terms of his grip on the fans. Yeah, it's exciting, man. I don't know. Did you watch the trailer at all by any chance?
Yeah, actually a bunch of times. Of
Yeah.
course. I mean, I've already been, I've sort of had my head in that Ben Grimm place already for the past couple months, just sort of like thinking about the way that he talks and the way he moves. But it was really interesting seeing like this new portrayal of him, seeing how they did it. I thought it was crazy that, like in the other movies, they would always put like a rocky, almost like his vocal cords were like made of rock or whatever, and he just sounds like that guy.
At first I was kind of like, I don't know if I like that. I almost want them to amp up the New York a little bit and then give him a little bit of texture to the voice. But you know what? I love that character. I love that the bit you see with the, with the spaghetti sauce. It's almost like a nod to the bear. You know what I mean? And I just thought, I don't know, I couldn't be happier with it, honestly. I know there are going to be some changes from the old school material, but I come to expect that, and just I don't get mad about that stuff like I used to 15 years ago when these movies first came out, and I get really but now it's just like I know that deep down the 10-year-old Mike is losing his mind at the chance that maybe we're going to finally see a really good Fantastic Four movie. Not that I hated the other ones, because the other ones were still a Fantastic Four movie. Although I didn't watch the most recent one. I didn't watch the most recent one because I just couldn't go there. But I just I don't know. I just never did, and I decided to just ignore that part of Fantastic Four history.
I remember seeing those Jessica Alba ones in the theaters and being just as excited as I would as if they were the best thing ever. Just because you're seeing the Fantastic Four, in live action. And then I was watching some YouTube thing today where they were just sort of comparing things, and they were showing clips from those, and I was like, that is crazy that's what that looked like. We've been so trained now, our brains and our eyes are so trained to see to be so critical of how good a superhero thing's supposed to look. But you see like a corny old one, it's just like, whoo, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, when I went into those Jessica Alba ones, I was thinking, well, as long as they get the thing right, and I can accept everything else. And then funny enough, like after watching those movies, the thing didn't bother me in those movies the way I thought he was going to. What bothered me was how they turned Doctor Doom into basically like the Hobgoblin. He didn't have the same kind of power, and like when Doom walks into a room, you should all be looking at your feet. You know what I mean? You should be looking at the ground. It should be like that first time we see Darth Vader, and because Doom is the blueprint for Vader and all those things that have come since. So it's the casting choice on that could have been great, but I just feel like he's flying around on like his little Green Goblin style surfboard thing, and it just didn't feel like the power of Doom. It didn't make me care, and I think with Doom you've got to. I don't care if they cast a hamster to play Doctor Doom, but I want to feel it in my guts when he shows up on the screen. Yeah.
All I know is look, I never realized it until you just said what you just said, Mike, which I think the two characters that in film they've probably screwed up the most from when they took them from the comics is Doctor Doom in those Fantastic Four films, because he should have been a man of great intellect and magic and don't mess with me, right? And Deadpool in the Wolverine Origins. Those are the two. So as long as they can stop taking it to that level of failure, I think it's fine. You know what I mean? As long as I don't get them putting characters on film where they screw it up to the level of where they did that Doom and they did that Deadpool, where they took so much away from the characters that it was like that was a bit much. But I'm curious with that, Tony. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the oldest character that you've ever worked on?
Oh, that's interesting.
That's a good question. Yeah.
I guess probably. I mean, we had a Golden Age character in Local Man, but as far as like licensed stuff, yeah, I think so. I haven't. Well, yeah, Crypto's probably older, right? I bet Crypto's from like the pre-Silver Age. Maybe. Let's see. Only one way to find out.
Yeah, see, I'm honestly not completely positive. Wait, now.
KRY.
Oh, look, Mike's on paper.
Yeah, I got
Wow.
a little paper here. A little sketch I started.
Mike's always drawing something awesome while he's on the questionnaire. Not that you haven't as well, Tony. I swear. I need to take that image you did of that. Can I print up shirts of that and sell them, Tony?
Crypto is older. Crypto's from 1955. So
Okay.
just by years. But yeah, I did a Super Pet special last year, where Bitewing from the Tom Taylor Nightwing book joins the Super Pets. But besides that, I think this is the only like Silver Age Marvel character.
Okay, now I hope I don't make anybody mad when I say this, but I feel like in the span of things, there is more pressure by far writing Ben Grimm than there ever is writing Crypto. Because
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, just Crypto's a dog,
His
you know.
voice
And
is a lot less.
it's a dog where it's a Superman dog. You have to write a dog that's really nice and superpowered. How hard is that? I'm not. I mean, I don't feel like that's not the writing task of Ben Grimm, where it's a man that is so kind-hearted and so joyous, but at the same time, very much a tortured soul based on what happened to him. You know?
Here's the thing for me with Ben Grimm is that he, I can identify him with a lot. I think anybody that has any sort of low self-esteem or like body image stuff or anything like that, they can look at a Ben Grimm and just go like, oh Jesus, like that's the whole thing, right? Like he no matter what he does, this is what he's gonna be like, and it almost feels like that sort of like where you just throw your hands up, and you're just like, I guess this is just how it is, And then, but outside of that, then he still presses forward, and he's still a hero, and he's still, like trying to do his best. But that thing that he always has with him is just like, it's never going to be great, like it's sort of like this, but not in like a Eeyore way, just in like I accept that this is the way life is,
Yeah.
Which is sort of the way that I approach him. But also, when they were talking to me about pitching the thing, comic, they were like, the stuff that tends to get by the easiest is if it's a lot of fights, if it's a lot of like action. And so it really was in coming up with the story, it was figuring out a way to have the thing fight as many cool Marvel characters as possible, and have it be ones that you hadn't necessarily seen him fight before, or like you wouldn't think of as being like Thing villains, and sort of like figuring out a way to set up a scenario where that makes sense. And so the basic gist of the thing is it's like the Thing in the Warriors, right? Like the Thing is trying to get across town, and everybody's out to get him, and so he's just being like chased across town by all these other Marvel supervillains and anti-heroes sometimes, and because you'll see that because of the time that it takes place in, it's not everybody, like it's sort of in a pre-Deadpool era, because it would have, I love money. I would have loved to.
Did you sense that? Did you sense that question coming from me or something, Tony? Did you sense it? Because I was gonna be like, I so just kind of want to see the Thing be like, listen, Wade, and smash him and walk away, and then Wade say some smart aleck comic while he's laying there like, oh whatever. Or I mean, there's God knows you could have taken that just the one liner that you could have provided just for that one moment with that character. So I feel like you sensed the question I had coming. Whatever.
Believe me, I was trying to do the math to make it work. I was trying to line up the dates and make it make sense that Deadpool could have been there around that time. But mainly, it was just me going through. I remember probably 20 years ago now, I was in comics, but I was just making like probably pre My Little Pony, like just doing my independent stuff and like getting little jobs here and there, and I bought every essential official handbook of the Marvel Universe, like those big phone books that are just all of the hot moves.
Yeah.
And I was like, one day I'll use this for my work, as if there's just not a whole internet of where they keep all that information now. But I surely did. I brought all those out, and I was like, well, this is the exact era that we're talking about. So let me flip through here and make sure that I'm not missing any, like, big characters or, cool forgotten characters that we could have show up and fight the thing. So
Can you
That's awesome.
it's fun to finally get to pull those out and use those.
can you give us a teaser of like maybe one person that really somebody would not expect to see?
Well, I
Ben
think it was
Grimm?
in the solicit, but Juggernaut for sure.
Awesome.
Versus the thing, and right away the internet was just like, doesn't he know anything? Juggernaut's good now. It's just like, all right, well, maybe it's not right now.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Because the Marvel Universe handbooks, those books are essential. Like those books are my Bible. Especially the long connecting cover series, the second edition series. I love that stuff. It was unbelievable, and yeah, that's so cool. I'm so this takes place in the past, somewhat, I guess. But I don't know if you can say, but
Yeah, I won't say exactly when, but basically
Aw.
they say that they want it to be sort of evergreen, so they have like a time that they think of as sort of like the evergreen Fantastic Four time.
awesome. That's
And
the
so it's
best.
sort of set in there.
Best.
Dude, hey, so you can't. Oh man, I was really hoping, Mike. Yeah, I was hoping you could give us like an exact frame of reference of when this took place. But is it? Or so are you doing it to where it's kind of like?
I mean, it's like in the like John Byrne Fantastic Four era,
Yeah.
like around, which isn't. I don't think I'll be saying that as like a selling point, because for old guys like us, it's a selling point. But if you tell kids like, it's remember the John Byrne Fantastic Four, they're like, what?
Yeah. I
No.
always think of like the Marvel 2-in-1 series was like my favorite comic as a kid, but I also love the Thing solo series where he was a wrestler, because I was a wrestling, guy, and then the Thing was my favorite character. And it's like, just to go back to your point, about how you're approaching the Thing. Yeah, it's that self-esteem thing. Like I grew up as a fat ginger kid. I got picked on a lot, and I think the Thing was so powerful to me because no matter how bad a day I was having, no matter how miserable someone made me that day, I could, I could know in my heart that the Thing was having a worse day than me.
Yeah.
And he could take it. So if he could take it, I could take it. And that's kind of where my head was at with the Thing. I think that's why he was just such an important character to me. But
Yeah, you're gonna like this book. That's fucked up. You're even orange too. So that's fucked up. You're even orange also.
Oh God. Well,
Hold on one second. Let me let my dog in. Give
Yeah.
me a moment.
Tony's got to let the stray dog in.
nice.
I try and link it all together. Like I
Yeah,
literally.
that was good.
Yeah, there's nothing by Tony. I'm still gonna keep talking while he goes and lets his puppy in, but I'll say there's nothing by Tony that I've read that I did not enjoy, from Time Shopper to Uncanny Valley, which is the most recent thing he's put out, and everything in between. I've not. He's one of the guys that in the span of this show, when I ran across his work, I'm talking about you, Tony. I've never found something where I was like, I was crap and wanted to just throw it aside. Now everything was good work that I highly appreciated. That you could see there was thought put into within the characters, which I think is important. And that's what I think is funny. Like Mike was saying, this is a character that I think is one of those characters that you have to have it to where he is empathetic, and you have to have it like this is the character that if someone reads this story, I expect it to be something like the character where they look and they're like, they become sympathetic for this character based on a situation. You know what I mean? And it's not even the fact that he's looking for that. It's the fact of just the ridicule he gets for who he is, and still moves forward in that, makes you sympathetic for him. How do you make sure you balance that in the story to where you're not doing too much of one or the other? Because I mean, you don't want him going, oh, poor me, because that's never what Ben Grimm did. But at the same time, people constantly ridiculed him just based on his appearance. I mean, he's a big. I mean, look, dude. If that guy walked up to me, I'm not gonna like make fun of him, but I am kind of gonna freak out, right? Like, if I didn't know who the Thing was, if somebody walked up to me and looked like that now, I'd be like, Ben Grimm, like that would be my first like what? Where? Either you got sent here or I got sent somewhere I really don't want to be, because I do not want to be in the Marvel Universe, dude. I'm not. I will die.
Yeah, I think this is in the solicit too, but he ends up like he's in there's like a mystery in this thing that sort of involves this guy who's an adult now, but when they were kids was like his bully on Yancey Street. And so it's like this guy who goes around saying he's the only guy that ever beat up Ben Grimm, and Ben Grimm had to go together. So they have to deal with sort of like this, like we sort of flashback and we'll show, like times of him being a pre-thing when he's just a kid on Yancey Street and what that was like, and sort of like, what it was like going through that as a kid. And so we get to sort of like bring that up and then show how that forms him today, and then show how that, like the way that he interacts with other people based on that. And there is some stuff, Mike, that you'll dig, because it sort of takes from like the Thing series. There's little bits of stuff with his brother who was in the Thing series, like a tiny bit before he died. And so there's like a little bit of that. And we, throughout the series, we sort of pop back into like young Ben Grimm, like learning this lesson and sort of where it takes him.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited. That sounds so great.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, it's really exciting to write, and it's a lot of stuff that I'm just excited to see on the page too. It's just it's fun. I also have not gotten to draw Ben Grimm yet, and when I asked the editor, because this is a new editor who doesn't know me from Local Man or from because I drew covers for Marvel. I've done maybe like 7 or 8 of them. I'm not like Peach Momoko or something, but I've done a couple. And when I was pitching this thing, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna do this one," and we're talking about artists and stuff, and I said, "Hey, if you got one, I'd love to do like a B cover or something." And he was like, geez, man, it's kind of hard to get somebody approved for covers here and da-da-da and all this. And I was like, I already draw it.
Yeah.
In a former life, I already do draw covers for you guys, but it was a no-go. So
I even looked into seeing if there was any retailer exclusive options for covers.
Oh yeah.
Which is crazy with Marvel, because they make you commit to like 3,000 copies or something insane like that. You need to get like 4 or 5 stores to team up together to do a Thing cover, but it doesn't look like they're doing them. I know Nick Bradshaw's doing some covers, which I'm excited about, because Nick is like, my favorite Canadian. He's like my favorite guy. Yeah, but he Nick on the covers and Leonard on the interiors. I'm just kind of like, wow. This thing is actually made for me. But he actually was going to put some feelers out for me for a cover, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know if we're going to do any variants on this thing at all." So it's just wishful thinking. But that remains my ultimate quest. Still is to get to draw the Thing one day for Marvel.
But
you're doing a great job here.
You just said no variant covers. I don't believe Marvel's putting out a book with no variant covers. I don't believe it. Like I literally.
A lot, actually, yeah.
He's talking about like retailer variants or like.
Oh, okay, retailer variants, yeah. But like, because I don't think I've ever seen a Marvel book come out in any kind of recent year that didn't have at least a minimum of 2 covers. And I mean.
They'll do 2 covers, but sometimes they'll do like 10 covers or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Those are the books where they're really like betting on them, and sometimes they're just trying to do like have the budget not be too much and see if they can get a good a solid single out of it.
I just can't like the fact that you, Tony, they told you no as far as just drawing one cover. That I'm sorry that
he didn't know who so, because I do so many different things. Some people know me for one thing, some people know me for another thing, Like you could know that I did Stray Dogs and Local Man and not know that I used to sometimes do covers at Marvel, you know, like that's
I honestly
entirely
didn't know.
possible. Yeah,
I didn't know until this interview that was the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody could keep track of all of the work of any one comic creator in the comic community, it's because that's the only comic creator they follow in any capacity. That's my honest opinion in that regard. And I say that as someone that, I mean, at this point, I follow a number of creators, but I know there's stuff that I miss because,
Yeah, stuff always slips through the cracks.
yeah, like it's not. I would have to stalk you people on social media, and I have a problem enough posting stuff for the questionnaire on the social media. I don't have time to stalk nobody. I don't know how anybody does. That's besides the point. Don't stalk
I'm
on
the same.
social media.
I basically am just promoting myself, and then hitting, reposting stuff, retweeting stuff, and then and I'm hardly scrolling at all. I'm hardly following anyone. It's because I'm just working, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a bulk. So, what are you all writing right now? You're writing the Thing, right? You've
So,
got Uncanny Valley to finish up.
Yeah, I've got the last Uncanny Valley, and I'm writing Feral, and then
Oh, and Farrell. Duh. Sorry.
and then that's okay.
Phenomenal,
And then
by the way.
Seeley. What's that?
I said Farrell, phenomenal, by the way. Yeah, I'm loving Farrell, man. It's look, there are 2 books by you, and I'm gonna give you a little more praise. I didn't just come. I'm gonna mess with you here in a little while too, Tony. But it's the fact that you took and you gave what, in my opinion, is one of the most unique serial killer stories with Stray Dogs, and I think you're doing something very similar with Farrell in giving the most unique take on a zombie story. With cats. And this is from somebody. Look, man, I love George Romero, right? I love the social commentary within George Romero that most people bloody well miss anymore. But that's neither here nor there. But and all things zombie, man. Like when they did Marvel Zombies, I was like, this is awesome. But in every zombie thing I have ever seen or consumed, it's quite a bit. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I think that's probably the most unique take I've seen on a zombie virus.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I'm trying to think of what the most unique. I remember when 28 Days Later came out and those movies, and thinking like that was like revolutionary.
No, because I'm sorry, they did that in the remake of Dawn of the Dead. In my opinion, it was just a slightly updated twist of that version of it. Like
which came first?
Dawn of the Dead, the remake. Yeah, it came out. Wait, no, you said 28 Days Later? Ooh.
Yeah. I think that was like 2001 or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the remake. I think the Dawn of the Dead came. Yeah, I'm not sure when the remake of Dawn of the Dead came.
28 Days Later, and the Dawn of the Dead remake is after 2002.
Is it? Okay.
Hold on. Yeah, 2004.
Okay.
Come
okay.
on, Jay.
So I guess that one was first. And
yeah, I thought those were revolutionary. I thought Shaun of the Dead around that same time was like a real kick in the ass. Like just sort of like as far as doing characters, having it be funny, but having it still be just full zombies, you know, that sort of thing really made me think about what you could do with stories. Just because, like, what I do with the Stray Dogs and Feral books it's basically just taking a horror story and switching the perspective, right? And that's what, you know, if you're watching like a Romero zombie movie, you're watching these survivors who are sort of like dramatic and even like, you know, even if they're not action heroes, they're sort of exciting, you know, Flyboy and, you know, Dwayne Jones is sort of an exciting, explosive personality. And the Shaun of the Dead was just like, what if we just switch the perspective to just 2 dipshits and they just, you know, they just want to hang out.
Yeah.
And that was, and there's 100 real crappy versions of that, but to have it just be so smart and so, you know, like heartfelt, and that one was a big one for me. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm proud of Feral. I'm proud of the book that we're putting together. We're working on issue 11 and 12 right now. Trish is inking the last pages of 11, and I'm lettering that one, and then Tone's working on backgrounds for 12, and I'm trying to stay ahead of him on the script. So we're just cranking.
Can I say too, while Mike sits over here and inks this, I love Mike every time you come on and ink, and I think it like just to see that develop. Is it crazy when you get the original, like the art, and then like just the pencils, and then see the ink from these pages? Because you're not seeing the process in that. You're just boom and boom, right?
No, I'm seeing the process.
Well,
And
I mean like you're not watching it like you can watch Mike right now.
I mean, as close as to this as humanly possible, really. Like with Feral and with Stray Dogs, those books especially, and I guess with Local Man too. I'm very involved the whole time. Like Local Man, I draw the main part of it, but with Seeley stuff, I would see roughs from him, and then I would see the finals. But with Feral and Stray Dogs, it's like I do the thumbnails, and then Tone draws the backgrounds based on that, and Trish draws the characters in place based on that. And so I'm just seeing the whole time on Dropbox, like the files sort of update, and now Trish has done pencils here, and then now Trish has done inks here, and the whole time I can go like, well, let's try and move this over a little bit. I'm real hands-on those books. Like when I tell other artists about it and other creators, they're just like, that's way too much. But it's like the process that works for us. And then like even on Thing or on Wolverine, I'll get pencils, and then I'll get inks. I mean, watching this kind of process is I could watch this all day long. But as far as like the creative collaboration goes, I'm pretty involved as a writer.
I would
That's
assume
awesome.
I would assume like yeah, but I meant like actually like watching, you know what I mean? It actively be, because I would assume you're not like over Trish and Tone like.
Tone is in
Yeah.
my garage now for real, drawing on his iPad. He comes out here every like 6 weeks or so, just because that works better for his process to be like
Tell
in a
him
studio.
to appear on the show for the
Oh, that's
first
so
time
cool.
right now, Tony. It's
I'm texting.
it's right. Like I've been trying to
I've
get him
never-
because I've seen so much of his work, man. But with that, what do you find the difference in the process? Like, because you've got Local Man that you're doing with Tim, which is very much a collaborative process in your guys' writing. Then you've got Feral, and you've got Stray Dogs, and you've got Uncanny Valley, which were projects of yours that you pretty much got to do whatever you wanted. Now in the Thing, I mean, you can't just do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Because it's Marvel, and that's someone else's sandbox that you're playing in, right?
Yeah.
What do you find the differences in doing that, and how do you balance going back and forth, knowing, oh well, this is my sandbox. So if I want to drop a nuke in my sandbox, it doesn't matter. It's my sandbox. I'll blow it up if I want to, right? As opposed to where the Marvel one, it's like I can drop a small bomb as long as they say it's okay, but maybe I could get a minor nuke approved, but you couldn't just nuke the whole sandbox kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it makes me appreciate the creator-owned stuff working on the Marvel stuff, because it's just like, well, I can just do whatever I want. Here's Tone. Tone, say hello. This is Mike and Jay.
Hey.
We got Tone on the
Questionnaire.
questionnaire. You need to come on for a full quest one day, Tone.
Oh, sure, Mike. Whenever. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll plan that for season 3 for certain, man. Yeah. I've seen so much of your work. I'd love to have you on the show. Yeah.
Cool beans.
There it is. All right. Thank you, Tone.
Get back to work, Tone. Go draw something so I can look at it later.
Look, you don't get to order him around.
Well, then you order him to go do it, Tony.
I don't have to. He's a self-starter.
Well, then he's on point, and I don't need to say nothing. And what were you saying?
So we were talking about the difference between Marvel and creator-owned stuff, or licensed stuff and creator-owned stuff. You're right. I cannot throw nuclear bombs into their universes. But what I think has been great about both of the Marvel things that I've worked on and the DC things is that the editors are pretty good at laying out the parameters, so that I'm not going too far afield, already. And so by the time, we're to the point where we're breaking down the story, I kind of have a good idea of sort of like what's on the table and what's not. And that is cool, because I'm pretty okay with like, give me the ingredients that we can put in this thing and I'll figure out how to cook it up, right? Like I'm totally okay with that, especially when it's working for somebody else. Like when it's my own thing, like this new thing Seeley and I are kept cooking up, or when I'm coming up with feral stuff. I like to be able to just do whatever, like to have, full, like everything's on the table. And that's the cool thing about Image, and the cool thing about creator-owned books is that that's sort of how it is, and that's what people want too. They don't want to just read another, the same thing that you've done before, or the same thing they've read before. But with the thing, especially this editor, Darren Shan, who's putting this book together, he's very good at saying, like, this is what we're sort of thinking about here. And not like they have the story, but like they can say like something sort of like this. And he'll also say, like, for the other guys, for like Revort and CB, the stuff that they like and the stuff that they don't like, just so that I can just have a sort of like a smooth ride. Here's ideas that I'm having. If I'm having an idea that's something that they definitely don't like, then I won't, I'll just go a different direction and have a good time. Because the fun part for me is actually, like, once I've got the shape of the story, the fun part's like figuring out the voices of the character and figuring out the beats and the moments and stuff like that. And I can I think I can make a good comic out of, whatever story we come up with, just based on how you present it and how you lay in the moments and how you set up surprises and all the like nuts and bolts stuff that I think I'm pretty good at. And so it's just different, at Image with Feral, or at Boom with Uncanny Valley. That's about building these characters from the ground up and putting all this stuff into them that you're going to use to pay off in certain ways. And with Marvel or DC, it's like, here's these characters, they have all this stuff in them. How can you make it pay off in a different way than other people have done it?
And that's
Or just do it the same way other people have done it. Like nobody's telling me to reinvent the wheel, but I try my best to, because otherwise it's like, why am I here?
And I think that's the thing that a lot of people probably don't really, really give a great deal of thought to, as far as when you're to the point as a writer and you've gotten into one of those two wheelhouses. It is very much a different game, because when you're handling characters with a history that goes back 60, 70, 80 years, or well, no, I probably, yeah. Well, wait, Fantastic Four, what, 60, right? I'm old.
1960, 61.
Yeah,
it came in 61. Yeah.
I'm old. I'm old, and like I don't want to admit how old these comics are anymore. And I'm just like, this is like can't these things all be? But whatever. Yeah. so
They're
you're
older than me.
Tony is like on Google. Like, look, man, I'm gonna check it real quick. Find out. Been fact checking me like I know, dude. I need another person here that's like a constant fact checker. I'm working on it.
Like Jamie.
Dude. I have no look. I do very much need a Jamie on this show. I'm just like, hey, pull that up real quick. Yeah, I know how helpful it would be, dude. But we do with what we do with, and that's what you got to do with, right? And that's the thing when you're dealing with these. Yeah, when you're dealing with these Marvels and DC characters, when you get into that, it is, like I said, it's a situation where you have to be aware that you have to do with what is already there. Have there been any issue or any circumstances when writing the thing when you were like, "Hey, I want to," and they were like, "That's a good idea, but."
A little bit, a tiny bit. There was a couple things where I was not with the thing, but like with the villains or whatever, I'd be like, then they do this, and they're like, that character would never do that, especially not this time, And when it's like, Tom Brevoort says it, you're just like, well, he knows, he's this guy's read all of them, so I'm just basing it on the I'm sure I've read like 1% of all the Marvel comics, and he's read all the rest of them, so.
If Tom walked up to me and was like, that character wouldn't do that because of this, and I'm like, Tom, I'm not. You're right.
Yeah.
Like, that's my answer, Tom. You're right, because I know well enough that I've seen that man pull dates like it is incredible.
Yeah,
to me how much it's
beautiful mind.
yeah. Oh, and and Tom's a great guy, man. It's just it blows my mind how in depth his knowledge. I really feel like if there was ever a man that's like, dude, you are comic book history, it's probably Tom Brevoort. Unless there's somebody out there that's beyond that I don't know. But
I mean, I'm sure there are several that are beyond that nobody will ever know. You know, it's like these like hardcore super nerds that are just quietly sitting back knowing everything. You know, but as far as the ones that are consequential in the biz, he seems like one of the guys for sure.
Oh yeah.
yeah, and I'm very curious, like, because he just took over. Is he? I didn't think because he was on the X-Men universe, and now he's moved over to the Avengers more than anything else. Correct?
Well, he's still been, but he's like the executive editor or something. He has some big high mucky some position. So there's some stuff that just gets passed to him anyway. So.
Yeah.
Tom's the one that has to see everything because that's his job now. It's funny to realize that, like, you know, because when we had Fabian on, and he's talking about when Tom initially started at Marvel, you know, and then to realize where Tom is now as far as in position. And that shows everybody out there, just so you know, never stop. Always try to achieve your dream, whatever that is, because you never know if you put enough effort in where that will end up. And I'm a firm believer in that. You know what I mean? Like, don't give up. Too many people do that. Be like Ben Grimm. Ben Grimm didn't get like, and he was handed, as far as a person, probably one of the crappiest cards I think you could have been handed. Like, there's worse ones, but that's a pretty rough one, you know. No, I didn't mean to say that like that, but it worked really well as far as the rough with the rock. Yeah, is there within this and dealing with doing the thing for Marvel? Are there any other characters that you look at in Marvel and you go, if I could play with that one, and even if at any time frame, and now just for everybody out there, I'm not saying that Tony has got it lined up to where he's doing any of these comics. I learned that from Epic Voice Guy. Apparently, as a creator, you can't be a fan to a certain degree because people take it as news. This show isn't news; it's a quest. I want to be real clear. You can gather information from it. This is not a news show, all right? And if it is, it's the daily show of comic book podcasts. You feel me? Yeah.
Is there anybody else?
I want a Punisher run from you.
A Punisher run?
Like classic Frank Castle. Sorry, I don't know why that picked up. Like, I just popped in, like, I need a 90s Frank Castle story from you, Tony. There's just something about that I feel like would be really raw.
I do love Vengeance. That's for sure. I bet I could figure out some kind of Punisher. Man, I'll tell you what I love is Cosmic Ghost Rider. As far as Punisher stories go, that thing was real good. Did you read that?
It's on my to-do list. I
won't spoil it for you, but it's one of the Punisher stories.
Because I know he gets a baby Thanos at one point.
Oh, yeah.
And that just sounds epic. And I know,
and it leads into that Thanos series too. Like, it's all fits together real good. I really like teenage heroes. For whatever reason, like, I've always been really big into you know, you sound like a 1,000 years old now if the teenage shows you like are like Buffy and 90210 and Dawson's Creek and stuff. But Gilmore Girls, that type of thing. Like, I like that sort of stuff, and I also like superheroes, and I like when a book feels like both of those things together. So books like Runaways or Generation X or New Mutants, that type of stuff. I like all of those things. I'm trying to figure out, like, if I have a Generation X story that could be something that felt, you know, again, like, there's no need to reinvent the wheel, but is there a way to do something that feels like the thing that I love, but also that feels a little bit like me? And
are they running a Generation X book right now?
No, I mean, those characters are always popping up places, and you know,
I know but you know, it's funny that, like, Well, because I mean that was a young team, but I don't know. It was Generation X, and it represents the actual generation of X. So I don't like. Could you do a Generation X book with all new characters that were younger? Like, is that, or is the title of that make it to where it's not a valid?
They've
Like,
got to be 50.
like
They
they've
gotta
got
be
to
like
be 50.
58 years old. The youngest.
I'll tell you what. Let's get into something else then, because you did recently do a Wolverine book, you and Tim, which was part of what story arc was that part of?
Venom War.
Huh?
Venom War?
Yeah, the Venom War. Okay. So, what do you find the difference in doing something like that, where you are part of a huge story? So I'd assume there's a lot more red tape in that than there is in the Thing, because in the Thing you already have the prior knowledge of what has happened, where with the Venom War arc, it was actively going on while you guys were making it. Did that make that a little trickier to traverse?
A little bit, but it was actually the fun thing about that Wolverine book is that they had planned the Venom War event, and then Marvel sales came to them and said, like, all right, well, who's doing the Wolverine book? Like, who are you going to put on that? And they were like, well, we don't, there's no Wolverine book. Wolverine's not in the Venom War, you know. And then they were like, no, but who's going to do the Venom War Wolverine book? You know, like obviously that should exist. So by the time we got hired on it, the Venom War was pretty well planned out and put together, and we were just like, they said we like Local Man. Jordan White, who hired Tim and I, liked Local Man, and we were like, well, we can give you like a Local Man feeling thing. Is it okay if we just take it somewhere else? You know, like not just have Wolverine be in the center of all this action. You've already got all this stuff planned out. Can we just have him go somewhere else and play out this whole thing? My idea originally was just to have him go sit on like Mariko's grave and just sit there for 3 issues and wait for her to pop up. And then at the end of issue 3, she's a Venom zombie and he kills her again. And then like that, he's just out of the way and he's just, you know, dealing with small town problems. And that's not obviously not what we ended up doing, but we did get him right out of the middle of the mess. And so he just sort of got to have like a side story, a side mission, you know, out in this small fishing town. And yeah, so that sort of avoided a lot of the crossover issues that you would normally have. But we still did run into every once in a while, we'd have like one of these zombies would say something and then they're like, oh, the zombies can't talk now. And it's like, well, it said, you know, earlier you said the zombies could talk. And they're like, yeah, we changed our mind. You know, like just sort of like having a lot of cooks in a lot of different kitchens all trying to make the same potluck or whatever. And yeah, so on the Thing, it's just nobody's crossing into it. It just exists over there. And the only stuff that'll end up getting notes on will be, like I said, if they're like, this couldn't be, you know, like early on in the story, somebody knocks on Ben Grimm's door and they're like, well, they could never get into the, you know, the Four Freedoms Plaza or the Baxter Building or wherever they are because they have security. And then I'm like, all right, well, you know, maybe it's they're like, maybe it's the lady that runs the robot lady that runs the reception down at the bottom of the Baxter Building. I'm like, all right, well, we'll write in the robot lady, and then they're like, yeah, but her track wouldn't reach all the way. So it's just sort of like more like milling around how to figure out how to make stuff work like that, more than like this doesn't fit because this other book's doing this. It's more just like, how do we make all this work based on what we already know.
But, and I know you clearly like working with Tim, especially, I mean, you guys have done phenomenal on Local Man. You guys have got another book coming out that you won't tell me any more about. I already got a feeling I can't pluck any more out of your brain about it. Can I? Come on. What's up? No, I won't. We won't.
Not on air, no.
Well, we'll save that. We'll save that for later. Maybe we can get Tim and Tony to come on when that's a little bit closer to October in season 3, right? We'll plan that for a later point in time. But with that, I'm curious. What did you find to be more enjoyable to work on, that Wolverine book or the Thing book? And I when I say, I'm sure they were both enjoyable, but I just mean in the capacity of the wheelhouse you were working in, because in one, you're working in the modern Marvel, working in a large story arc that you do have more moving parts to work in because I mean that was one of the big events that Marvel did last year, as opposed to where the Thing, where it's something that you can just write the story and like you said, the main thing you have to worry about are very minor notes of things that were done in that time frame with the Thing, as opposed to, oh, now the zombies can't talk or XYZ.
Well, they're both fun for different. I mean, imagine writing Wolverine. It's great. It's the best. And I remember like there was one day where it was like there was a lot of notes and there was like a real annoying day on the book, and me and Tim were sort of like arguing about like who would go fix this thing, and it was just sort of like because it's like, do you have time to get in there and fix it, or I'll go do it or whatever. And then I did it, and I sat down at the keyboard and I brought up the script, and I remember the first thing I typed was like snicked. And then I was like, well, I mean, I can't be mad at this. This is the coolest. Is to write Wolverine stuff. But when you see what this Thing book is, and especially when it's all finished and all you can read it all in a shot, all 5 issues, it really, like Wolverine, we took him out of the way so that he could sort of have a little sort of like internal Wolverine, like emotional, he meets normal people, that type of thing. There's a little bit of X-Men, but for the most part, it's just like monsters and Wolverine off on the side. And this one takes place, in Manhattan, in Marvel Universe, with Marvel villains, the Fantastic Four is in it. So it's sort of like, this one feels like I'm doing a Marvel book. It's like it's got all the stuff. It's got all the you go into a place and you recognize the place you're in, you recognize the characters that are there. It's like all the Marvel team up stuff that you like, the stuff where it's like, oh, it's this guy now, it's this guy. Like that's fun to do, and it's a whole different thing than what the Wolverine thing was.
See, now I just want to, like, I kind of want to know, man, do you want to work on more big events after working on the Venom War with Wolverine? And would you want specifically to be in a position where it wasn't in a kind of like you did with Wolverine, which I still think it's hilarious that Marvel sales was like, so where's the Wolverine book? We're not doing one. No, I said, where's the Wolverine book? That's kind of hilarious in and of itself, because I'm pretty sure the same thing probably happened pretty much. Well, they had a reason to get in Deadpool with Precious, so that was actually a quick link into the Venom War with the fact that he has a symbiont dog,
Yeah.
So that's a pretty no-brainer just based on the fact that they did that. I love his pet, but I love his daughters. They're awesome. But would you want to
We're
be?
gonna be in the same trade because they were both 3-issue miniseries, so it's gonna be Venom War, Deadpool, and Wolverine, which is great because that means that trade will sell a shit ton more than if it was just Venom War, Deadpool, or Venom War, Wolverine.
Right.
But would I want to do another event?
Yeah, like, and I mean specifically though, would you want to work to a title that was really tied to the event? You know what I mean? Like a title to where you're not doing just a little bit over here in the kitchen. You are here, and if you screw up, Gordon Ramsay, aka Tom Brevoort, is going to yell at you.
I could see doing it again. I like trying out different things. But if it was, I would want to be with someone that I was tight, like whoever's doing the main thing or whoever's working on the other books. Like this one, I don't know Al Ewing at all, but we were all on like a Slack channel together, and so we could ask questions and stuff. But all the books that I've done, for the most part, have been up to this point with people that I'm pretty tight with, that I can, we can get on an email, we can sort of figure things out. And I feel like that's important for just like the way that I make comics. So I would love to do like when in the, what do they call it? Like the Architects era, when it would be like, Bendis was doing a big crossover, and then Ed Brubaker would do like the Captain America part of it, or, or when they would do like those summits or whatever. Like if it's something where, because I wrote for TV, And that's, you know, you get in a room with a bunch of other writers and you figure stuff out and you hash stuff out. Like if it's that I could definitely wrap my head around. I don't know if I think if I was in this same situation again, where it's like, here's this thing, figure out how you can fit into here, I would probably pull the same trick again, where it's just like, all right, let's just get them out of there. Because some of my favorite tie-ins like that are the ones that happen far away. You know, like when I think about like Secret Invasion, Black Panther by Jason Aaron, like that's one of the all-time greatest, you know, tie-in crossover comics. And it's, you know, it's all the way over in Wakanda during Secret Invasion. You know, it's just like, let's just get away from all the superheroes that we've been watching and we'll just check in with just Black Panther and just the people of Wakanda and see what's happening over there.
So you wouldn't want to like write the Captain America book during the Civil War, is what you're saying?
Not unless I was, you know, in real close contact with the person writing the big one. Because that's not easy, but it's nice to have a writer buddy that you can bounce stuff off of and that type of thing, you know. So like that sounds appealing, but yeah, I'm up for whatever. I'm mainly just excited to be able to make my own stuff right now, but it is exciting to get to dip my toe in and play around with these, you know, characters that I've read my whole life.
And I will say, as far as your own stuff, in the span of this quest from season 1 going forward, there's been quite a few comics where I look at and I'm like, how has this not been optioned in some capacity? You know, like sincerely, like, because like the deadliest bouquet by Erica Schultz. Like, I'm like, how is this like this? It's a solid. That book, it wouldn't even cost that much to make. Like that, yeah. You could do the deadliest bouquet fairly cheap. You have 2. I mean, Farrell's kind of new, to be real honest, as far as in the grand scheme of things. But with Farrell and Stray Dogs, I mean, I feel those as animations would hit. Well, yeah, I mean, I know you would, Tony. Just don't use AI.
Thank you for that helpful tip.
Hey, I had to throw it out there, man. Whatever, because whatever. I still love Damien's opinion of AI. You can go check his past quest if you want to get it. But I think with those, you would just hit audiences with different levels of things, man. Like look, if you could get Farrell made into an animated series, now mind you, I would say you're probably gonna have to run at least another. I mean, I think when you get to 24 issues with Farrell, and if it's still just doing golden, you know what I mean? Which, in my opinion, there's no reason it shouldn't. Go buy the book. It's phenomenal. If you need to catch up, go buy the trades. I know they've got 1 out right now.
Yeah, 2 comes out in a few weeks, I think. It comes out early March.
Okay, so you can pick up the first 2 trades if you need to catch up. The second one will be coming out not too long. But if you can do that, that's an animated series, especially with the current buzz of zombies, that I think would, because I think there are people that they want zombie stuff, but I think it's kind of like, oh, we've had The Walking Dead for so long, we kind of need something a little bit different. And I think with Farrell, if you showed that to just the world, you know, if you threw it up on Netflix, I think they would eat it up, man. I really, really do. You know, and I mean, I say that based on the fact of you have so many different. You have a cute cartoon. You've got a zombie virus. You've got an absurd level of violence. There's a reason Squid Games works. You know what I mean? I guarantee people aren't watching that for the social commentary for the largest part. They're watching it because, oh my God, did you see that guy's head just get blown off? You know, let's be real honest here. So you even have all those aspects. So that one, man, I don't know. Maybe it's just me being like, would somebody go option this stuff from Tony? I want to see it personally. Like, I want to see it. And I'm sure Tony would be like, yeah, for real. Listen to him. Go option it. Because, you know, if you argued with me on that, Tony, I'd be like,
I would agree with you. Luckily we're doing well enough, and we did well enough on Stray Dogs too, that, you know, the book is where the actual real money comes in. But, you know, it does not hurt to have something in production to make more people pay attention. That's for sure.
I think I would just love it because there's I would love to see it to where more people seen things like that, as far as comics that were based on not the big two, and then
Yeah.
maybe go back and actually get into the books because y'all should read more out there, man. Reading is fundamental. It's fun for your mental, right? Remember that.
Is that what
I'm mental. Don't ask me. Right? But that's what I'm going with, right? And I mean, I think we've seen that in the small things. I know with the Superman trailer, James Gunn has heavily been pushing the comics and has specifically been citing things as far as that helped him inspire or be inspired for the story that he's actually writing. And I think that's awesome to see on somebody that's such a high end, and it's James Gunn. James Gunn. It's James Gunn. If y'all watching this show and you don't know who James Gunn is, I don't know how you got to this show. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Like, pretty sure if you love it, where like you want to check out comic book creators like this, you probably know who James Gunn is. You know, so I would love to see that flip, man. Because like Dave tells me all the time, he's got people still walking in and they're like, Walking Dead's a comic. You know,
Yeah.
which
all the time.
that fragments my mind in half. I'm gonna be real honest. I'm like, I don't get how something can become that large of a property and then people just be so unaware of the source material. And I say this, and I've said it on the past, like, because look, how many people watch Game of Thrones and go, "Oh, those are books"?
Sure.
You know, like I don't think that's not as common, at least.
Yeah, but I don't hold that against somebody. People find their
Oh
way to
no,
the stuff. They find their way to it.
oh no. I don't hold that against I don't care how the individuals discovered as far as how they discovered. I'm more about the corporations and how the fact that when Game of Thrones came out, you found those books all over Walmart. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And everywhere else. But when these huge corporations put out these comic book films, like I think the best example that I can think of this that wasn't used is like when Civil War came out, why were they not in every Walmart, like the graphic novel? You know? Like
Yeah,
things to that.
it's definitely interesting. I mean, that is why they hired me to write the thing. Like they were like, we have a movie coming up. We would like to have product in stores that people could buy when they come out of the movie. So they're thinking about it, but it definitely has been. There have been some weird. It's like when when all those Avengers movies are coming out, and like it's like, well, Captain America's dead right now, or Tony Stark's not Iron Man right now, or what all this stuff where people who are gonna, Thor's not Thor right now. Like cool stories and interesting stories, but it's like people can't just walk right from the theater into the comic book store. What I have like a theory that I'm sure they're not doing, but when I saw that James Gunn trailer and I saw those superheroes, the Superman trailer, I was like, wouldn't it be interesting if, because they've been saying like the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker and the Creature Commandos and Superman, that's all the same universe. But I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if he's just doing it in the DC universe? Because like Mr. Terrific looks just like Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner looks just like Guy Gardner. Like they all look like they exist already. It would be wild if he was like, let's just do it where all this stuff has happened. That would be crazy.
Like he just like we're just gonna, huh? I'll tell you the only thing about that is I think it would.
I mean, they've done it so many different ways. They've done a million different approaches to a superhero universe at this point. Nobody's done just like, well, let's just do one where all the comics count too.
Yeah.
That'd be neat.
The only thing I firstly that would be phenomenal. I would love to see anybody do that, and because I the stories that you would then be able to create, it would be amazing, right? The only thing I think that would be a logistic nightmare.
Sure.
Because if you made the DCU to where it is part of the comics film or the comics as well, and the film and they're intertwined.
Yeah.
Hey, man, imagine that.
you know.
Yeah, the X's, and you would have to cross the I's. You got to make sure dotted. You gotta find the J over here and then the T over there, and then I love this idea, Tony. I don't think any executive would ever agree with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the executive though, so
Well,
that's Tim and that guy Peter Safran.
yeah.
The same thing is like there was that theory that when the X-Men were showing up in like all those when the Beast showed up and when these other X-Men were showing up in the Marvel stuff, the theory was that those are all the X-Men 97 versions, because it's like that's what the Beast looks like in X-Men 97, and
That would but wait,
like
that wouldn't. I know because
and Deadpool. It's
yeah,
possible that he's the 97 Wolverine, just aged up,
huh?
Yeah,
that's. I mean, that's intriguing. I had heard the one about Beast, but I didn't hear the one about Wolverine. But at the same time, if they do that with the one about Wolverine, doesn't that mean they have to end X-Men 97 on a really tragic note for Wolverine?
I mean, years from now. Also the Patrick Stewart that was in Doctor Strange was in the yellow X-Men 97 wheelchair too.
Yep.
And they play that little
Yeah, a little flash of music. Yeah.
That
was.
There's something there, maybe.
that would be intriguing. Well, let me ask you this, man. What character that you've created, if you could just chuck them into Marvel, right? Right. If you could take one character of yours that is your character, and you could go, welcome to the 616. Which one would you pick, and what would happen?
The easy answer is that you take Crossjack from Local Man, and you just have him have been in one of those like late 90s where it was like X-Force Youngblood or Bad Rock Spider-Man, or what was it, Backlash Spider-Man, or like just when they were crossing over with those late 90s
Everything
and Spider-Man characters. Yeah, that's something like that would be fun. But I wouldn't want to throw any of my guys in there because they already, because I own them. And the whole point of creating them was that I would keep them for me.
All right. Well, let's say
doing like a Stray Dogs version in a Marvel universe, or doing that same trick, but for superheroes, the way we did it with serial killers and zombies, doing like what's the X-Men story, but it's from like Lockheed's perspective or something like that. Like that, there's something interesting there. That would be fun to do. Not a character of mine, but to do like almost like a genre of mine, or a trick of mine.
And the thing you just said, that's go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, I didn't say nothing.
Oh, my bad. That's very intriguing, Tony, and that's very awesome, Mike. But from a Lockheed perspective, you said Lockheed, right? Okay.
Lockheed, yeah. Do you say head?
Oh, isn't it Lockheed?
He's got two E's.
Yeah, Lockheed.
Lockheed.
Like Lockheed Martin.
Okay, I haven't seen his name for a long, long time, in my defense. All right. Like it's been a long time since I've seen that character pop up at all. Okay, so Lockheed. My bad.
Or Jaw, or like any of the sort of like Marvel, what do they call them? The Pet Avengers, Frog Thor, but like do an actual like the Stray Dogs version of that, where it's this guy where he can talk to other frogs or whatever, and the whole rest of the world he can't communicate with these other, something like that would be cool. There's not a ton of great Marvel dogs. Doctor Strange has a ghost dog.
But no, if you did Lockjaw, so are you saying if you wrote a Lockjaw, you would want to have Lockjaw speak in that comic?
Well, no. Well, yeah, he would talk to other dogs, but Lockjaw's not a dog. He's like a inhuman, so that's a little bit different.
And he can speak too.
Yeah. He's just an inhuman that looks like a dog. But if you got like Pizza Dog and Doctor Strange's ghost dog and they can talk to each other, and you know, like Aunt May's dog from the cartoon. I would figure out some sort of like dog pound to put together and have them wrapped up in some adventure. Or like, remember when Kirkman did the Eric O'Grady Ant-Man stuff, and he would just have this tiny Ant-Man, what he was doing during Civil War or during, Mighty Avengers, or like he would just put this tiny guy inside of whatever Marvel thing was going on at the time. I always thought that was a cool idea too.
I just like the idea of more, or hey, would you ever feel like undertaking Jeff the Shark?
I would never want to do. I mean, like Kelly and Girahiru are so good at that like it seems it would be so daunting to try and take that thing over, especially right now. If it was like 20 years from now and there have been like 8 shitty Jeff the Shark books already, but right now where there's just only gold, I would not want to do that now.
So you'll take over Jeff the Shark once there's a ton of crap Jeff the Shark out. Yeah. All right.
Screwed up.
Fair enough.
Like, can he be saved?
Oh God, that's not the answer I was expecting at all, Tony. So wait, no. So again, you got Pharaoh. We got going. We got your project with Tim that's going to be coming up. We got the thing coming up. You're getting ready to wrap Uncanny Valley. Is there anything else you're working on? Where's my Time Shopper sequel?
It might be time for that, as a matter of fact. But nothing currently. Just those things. I'm working on some other stuff, but it's like way far out. There is other stuff coming. There's a lot of trades that are coming out. Uncanny Valley trade, the first volume is about to come out, so that's 1 through 5. The second volume of Farrell's going to come out, so the 6 through 10 on that, and then we're going to launch into the third arc of that.
And don't forget your big old collection of Local Man, which if y'all, like I'm saying, that's why you guys really screwed with me, by the way. I gotta jump to this real quick. Like suddenly just jump into issue 25. And part of my brain was like, what, did I miss a bunch of Local Man? Like what happened? Wait a sec. What, why am I, hold on. Why does this go from this to, because I think it was, wait, what was it? So it was
13 was the last one before.
Yeah, so 13 to 25, right? Yeah. Right. You broke my brain for like a day, Tony, just so you know. You and Tim. Like I was staring at my comics and like,
we just stole that from Bob Liefeld like everything else. They did that in the 90s. They jumped Bloodstrike and Brigade and Prophet. No, not Prophet, Supreme. They jumped like a few of the Extreme books and then Stormwatch too at Wildstorm, all from issue like 13 to issue 25, and told a story that happened a year in the future, and then they had to match up with them when they got there in the regular issues. You don't remember that?
No, I don't. But are you telling me that's what you guys are doing?
That's what we did. Yeah. I mean,
no.
It's not.
I'm telling you. I'm asking you. Are you dropping issue 14 next?
Is that what our secret project is? Is the obvious issue 14?
Well, no. I mean, but I just no, because I know you. Wait, what? But you said it was a combination of but I thought
they did that. We just thought because originally when we were planning on wrapping up Local Man, we were like, we got to the end of 13, and I was like, that's sort of where we were heading with this, like at the end of 13 for me, that was like what I was trying to do with these characters. And that's why you have those big payoffs in 13 where like you get that big 2-page spread of him looking all extreme and roided out, and you get that splash page of like all the Farmington people showing up as superheroes, and like all that stuff happens in 13. And then I was flipping through my box of Image comics, and I ran into one of those issue 25s, and I was just like, shit, we got to do this too though, because that's cool. And so it really was like the book was sort of, we loved making it, but we had, at the end of when issue 5 numbers came in, we were like, this is not going to make enough money for us to make money on it. It's just going to be enough for us to just sort of squeak by. And so that was fine, but it really was like for 3 weeks out of the month I was not making money, and then for the 1 week, the other week I had to really hustle and crank and get stuff done, and I did, but it was a lot. It was exhausting, and so me and Seeley had said early on, like, let's just try and get 3 arcs out of this, because that's a hardcover. That's something. It's not just one and done. And so we planned it for like a 3 arc thing. But then issue 25 felt like, oh, this is a way we can jump a year into the future and do like a cool epilogue, like do a story that's different, but also feels like a nice fitting like ending for this part of it. And then, after we do this thing that we're working on now, we're already talking about like, what's the next Local Man stuff we want to do, and what are ways we can sort of like do something new that doesn't feel exactly the same, but feels like what people like, but isn't just us doing like, here's another, and now he's a shithead again, and he's in his hometown trying to solve another murder, like figure out something cool.
I'll tell you what you do. You jump 50 issues right to 75, and you put him in a nursing home.
It's like Bubba Hotep. He's just running around his nursing home trying to fight off old Image villains.
Oh, thank you for that reference, Tony. It was priceless.
I'm a Bruce Campbell guy.
Hey,
that's another trade that's coming. The first Army of Darkness Forever volume is out now, but the second one comes out, I think, in March or April too.
Wait, did that wrap? You ain't wrapped that up yet, have you?
Yeah, that went 13 issues too. That was that came out like October last year, maybe November. Last part.
Okay, no, I have all of those. I'm sorry. Okay. And that was, dude, and I really enjoyed that story, man, to see you be able to take Army of Darkness and play a story that had never been played, right?
Thanks.
So do you have any, you know what? We're talking The Thing, right? And I recently had a bit of a conversation with a couple different people online. I think it was Threads, man. Stephen Grant got in it. Do you, let's say The Thing runs into The Thing, right? You know the thing I'm talking about, right? Right? Yeah, that thing from outer space, right? And then let's say it starts absorbing The Thing, all right? Mm-hmm. Does it get all of The Thing's powers?
What do you mean, the strength and the rocks?
Yeah, does it fully become like to where it fully replicates what Ben Grimm is as far as in his super abilities? Or is it
a conversation you've already had?
That not about Ben Grimm. I'm just throwing it out because you're actively doing The Thing. No, when this conversation started, it was imagine The Thing if it was able to assimilate either like Godzilla or Superman and have their full abilities in either case. Because to be real honest, if The Thing got either of those characters and was able to assimilate and had all of the access to that power, the world is doomed. Right? I mean, that's just how that is. When you have The Thing and it can also shoot lasers from its eyes, or it's a freaking giant dragon the size of, like bigger than buildings. Yeah, the world is screwed at that point. But do you think it would absorb the powers, or do you think that it would just absorb the appearance?
You really had me just looking up, is John Carpenter's The Thing a 20th Century Fox film? Because I was like, that would be cool. But it is not. It's a universal but no, I think it would be like a rocky, disgusting mess, and then eventually it would be able to pretend to be The Thing, right? It would, yeah. Are you saying, do I think it would just look like pre-Cosmic Rays Ben Grimm?
No. Well, I mean, I guess that could be a possibility.
Would you say, Mike?
Oh, just like, the lumpy gravy version of Thing.
Yeah. Thing too. Yeah. No, I think it would look like The Thing. It would, the mid-transformation, disgusting, bunch of wolves tied together version would look like a big pile of gravel with disgusting, like eyeballs stretched out in it and tongues and stuff. Mike, where do you stand? Teeth or no teeth?
It's funny. Someone asked me that last weekend at a comic convention. It's a tough one to answer. Tom Fowler was with me at the time, and Tom, I said no teeth only because I don't typically draw him with teeth, and I
Yeah.
know Kirby never drew him with teeth, but Tom brought up a good point. He was like, there's so little about the thing's face you can use as a tool to emote with that teeth are actually a pretty huge device. And then Tom whipped out these amazing sketches of the thing that he had in his iPad, and he was like, "See, teeth," and I'm like, "Yeah, I get it, man."
Yeah.
I got an action figure. A customer gave me a gift at the show, and I'd never seen this one before, but I guess people know that I like the thing, but. This one's kind of cool because it has, let's see here, because it's got an alternate head.
With teeth.
There's a no teeth head and a with teeth head. And
hilarious.
You know what? There's merit for both for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a hard one to answer. I think it depends on the artist drawing the book, I guess.
I think Byrne was Kirby didn't draw teeth, but I don't know if he ever made a huge deal about it, but Byrne, I think, was the one that sort of like drew a line in the sand.
Yeah.
And we got teeth in our book, and I am not not a radical about it either way. I agree. I think they sometimes are important and helpful for doing emotion and stuff like that, doing different actions.
I have that. I love that classic "How to Draw the Thing" image. I actually have it on a pencil case around here somewhere. Hang on, here we go. And I always loved this. Was the John Byrne discussion on how to draw the thing. And I love that it just, the main thing is don't give me no lips. Like, I always thought that was the best. Because, he can look weird with lips, and people put lips on him sometimes, and it's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, it's like, I can see what they're trying to do. We've had some lips notes on the book, and you see what they're trying to just do dimensionality in his face. You're trying to, because there's so many different planes and surfaces on his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put too much lips, he does look like he's puckering up or something.
Yeah.
We've had some lip notes.
I love that. I love that. That makes my day. We've had lip notes. Yeah.
Jay,
I can totally see that,
I
though.
said teeth or no teeth either. I saw you kept quiet like a polite gentleman.
I mean, I'm not. I would agree to the fact that it's something that can be used for emotional points, but I can't think that I've ever seen the thing with lips. Did they? I'm trying to really envision the films too, because I feel like
it's not like he's Bug Bunny dressed up like a girl. He just will have there's just a line around his mouth where it's like
Really, they don't put lipstick on him, Tony?
That's right.
All right, come on, like give him the lips should be a different color. Everybody's lips are a different color than their face. If he's gonna have lips, they should be a different color rock, right? Let's be sincere about it. Now think about that, right? Because tell me a person you ever met, their lips are a different shade than the rest of them. So if you're gonna give the thing lips, they should be a different shade rock than the rest of him. Now what about that? Let's get in depth about it, huh?
Well, I guess he doesn't have ears for us to compare.
That's true.
I think of other body parts of his we would have seen that are also.
I'm not going the Mallrats route. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm referencing, right?
We're not talking about his dork being made.
Yeah, no, we're not. I just wanted to be clear about that because you said other parts, and I'm a fan of Kevin Smith, but no.
Lips, I guess, are the only part that would be a different color, but that's why we don't have lips. John Byrne said it.
Yep.
Don't give me no lip.
Yeah. Were you a fan of the spiky thing?
Yeah, I don't hate the spiky thing. I mean, the classic thing design is just so great.
Oh yeah.
That it's like, you cannot argue with it. Once they really locked in on it, once Kirby figured it out, and then, I love when Sal Buscema draws it. I love.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like a prime time John Romita Jr. thing is always great too.
Yep.
He's one of those guys that just draws volume like crazy,
Oh yeah.
And then I reread the Wade and Waringo stuff when I was starting on this because I love that run so much, and Waringo had just a great thing figured out. His thing shape was really great. Yep.
I love the Ron Wilson stuff too. I always feel like he doesn't get enough credit. I know he kind of was inking John Byrne stuff, but Eventually he was drawing his own, and I just loved his take on the thing. It just felt like such a, I don't know, just
It was like,
earthy and clean, and
yeah, iconic. Like it felt like
yeah,
it looked almost like the licensing art or something. Like it looked.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only brought up the spiky thing because the only time I got a letter published in Marvel was when I wrote in, because I freaked out when he turns spiky and he beats up the Hulk. Like he just clobbers the Hulk in the following issue, and it's like that moment where Thing fans could rejoice that the Thing, like, not only does he beat the Hulk, he beats him soundly, and he's stronger than the Hulk briefly for like 5 minutes in the span of the Marvel universe. And
Yeah.
when I was 12, that was a pretty big deal. So
Yeah, amazing.
yeah.
I never wrote a letter. I don't have any of those. I wish I did. I wish I had, like, you could flip back to those books I read when I was a kid and find one of those.
My
I need to
letters are
send
so
you a
corny,
picture of it.
man. I'm amazed they printed them, but they were so cheesy. Like they make me wince, like reading them now. But because I remember reading like old issues of like Warrior magazine, and there's like young Warren Ellis who's like 13 writing in, and he sounds like a scholar, and I'm writing in like I've got front row tickets to the Thing show, and I've got a sign with the Thing's face on it, and I'm wearing my Thing t-shirt, and I'm just shouting, like compared to the content he was writing in his letter to the editor versus me just like being a cheerleader for the Thing. Like, it's just kind of funny.
Well, look at him now and look at you now. Here you are, having drawn this amazing thing.
All I know is, I'll tell you, as far as on the note of letters, I do love what you did with Farrell, with putting in people's cat pictures, man.
Cat pictures?
I
I'm
need to-
actually doing those right before and right after this podcast. I was putting together the issue 11 cat pictures.
So are you saying I need to send you a picture of the new cat that I got over here, dude?
Sure.
Look, dude, his name is, my boy, I don't know, I have to say this. This cat just showed up at my house, has a really cool pattern. I looked at my boy, what should we name him? Pattery. My brain went, where did you come up with that? And
He said
then
battery?
Yeah, Pattery, like battery,
Like
but with a
battery?
P. And I was like, in my brain, I was like, where did that come from? I have no idea where it came from. But I looked at him and I was like, dude, that is an awesome name for this cat. Because it fit perfect. But I'm like, where did you come up with Pattery? I don't know. It just amazed me. But yeah, I think that's really cool.
Could be Pat for short too, or Patty, or what,
Yeah.
It just kind of showed up, and I'm still kind of getting it to where it's real friendly, So because when a feral cat just shows up at your house, you gotta take a moment before you pick it up, because I don't know if maybe it came from Tony's comic and will try to freaking kill me. All right, jeez, a freaking Pete, man. You guys are just, that's an ongoing, right? You guys don't have a plan to end Feral.
No. Yeah, it's an ongoing series. We have plans for way out. So if you're digging it, there's going to be a lot more of it. The other thing that I can promote is we're doing a Stray Dogs digest version. That's the whole Stray Dogs in like a DC compact comic size. It comes out in summertime, and it's $13. So if you've been reading Feral and you haven't read Stray Dogs yet, and you're like, I heard this was good, or I want to check this out, you can pick this thing up, and you can read it on the train or put it in your back pocket or whatever, and it costs almost nothing.
Let's get into that. I want to get into this with both of y'all.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of the new compacts they're making? Which they're about manga size, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
My opinion is that they're good because I'm making one with my most valuable property. No, I think they're cool. The hope is that they are for a whole different audience than what we've been selling to already, because that's all I'm ever trying to do with my stuff is like reach new people. That's why Uncanny Valley and Feral and Stray Dogs and to a certain extent Local Man are all like new reader friendly, new comic reader friendly, right? Like they're not so complicated with their lettering. They're not so the barrier to entry is very low because I want new people to I want to be able to give it to your wife or your mom or your best friend or who doesn't read comics or whatever. So all these people, these kids who grew up reading manga or reading Raina Telgemeier, that's the format of comics to them, is reading like stuff in that format. And for whatever reason, not all of them make the jump into just buying single issue comics or buying, the graphic novels of their favorite, superhero stuff or whatever. But I make stuff that is also, different in the same way that like Reina stuff is or manga is, or, like it's about a bunch of different stuff. So we're taking a shot at like, here's this format. Does this make a difference? Put this out here like this. And it's none of the covers. It's only the content. And it's just like, this is just the story. And it's $13. And if you've heard it's good, or if you've never heard of it, but it looks intriguing, try it out. Hopefully we get it in like airports and places where regular people are, because that's the sort of thing it is. And I think that's what DC, I also think what DC is selling those things that they're $10 for all of Watchmen or $10 for all of Court of Owls or whatever, and so there's that, and so I'm just curious to see if that's what it is, or if it actually could be, this is the way that you sneak the vegetables into the food that you're feeding to somebody, is just like make it look like the thing that they like and see if that does it. And they're trying it with Saga, and they're trying it with Invincible, and and so when I saw that they were doing the Invincible ones, I talked to the book market director at Image, and I was like, hey, we want to do this with Stray Dogs, and so we're gonna give it a shot, and we're designing it like those sort of simple, it's just a big red book that has Sophie on it and it says Stray Dogs, and you can see it from 10 miles away. And so just gonna give it a shot, because it's been, the book's been out for 4 years now, almost. And so I feel like everybody has had a shot at picking up the regular trade paperback, that market. And so let's see if maybe there's a different market. That's what I think about it.
I'm very... That would be interesting to see, because we've had discussions about the comic book market for with a number of different people. Some of them that have literally been brought up in this span of this particular quest, as far as just how to affect it positively. It's interesting to think that just a completely different format is something that might change, because manga is clearly very much more popular in the U.S. than comic books are, for whatever given reason. I don't know. I could never get into them because my brain has read comics in this format and reading them how I have, to where when I try to read manga, unless I am like highly intrigued by the story and there's something that captivates me within like 4 pages, my brain is like, I can't read like this. I just cannot read like this. It hurts my head. Come on, man. You can't tell me.
Yeah.
You think that's something, as far as if you're able to take people that are reading manga, you think that maybe part of the problem is the fact that they are...
You think I print it backwards too?
And look, as screwed up as it is, and but in all honesty, for you to do that, you would ostensibly have to reverse the art and then re-letter it, right?
That's what they used to do with manga. They used to flip all the art and print it left to right, and from front to back.
Yeah.
Like that's what like Crying Freeman was, and that's what the Akira ones are. Like you get those Akira volumes, they read in regular English reading order, Western reading order.
I do love that, the smaller, like the dense little format. Like I loved, I had some of the original American editions of the Lone Wolf and Cub, which
those things were tiny.
Miller had done that stuff with. But when Dark Horse released the little nice chubby little volumes, what a nice thing to collect, and what a nice thing to hold in your hand and read. And you can really, it was all black and white. You can just really appreciate those interiors, those beautiful pages. And then Samurai Executioner, I think I ended up getting all those as well. And it's just, I just fell in love with that format. I am a fan, and I can see how it would appeal to
that format.
Yeah,
is that a little bigger?
Yeah, the Dark Horse ones were even smaller, though. They were kind of like I'm trying to think of how. I don't know if I got one handy here in the studio, but
This is Dark Horse, Mike.
sorry.
This is Dark Horse. It's The American by Mark Verheiden. See, I'm taking it back to reference to the Bruce Campbell reference because he's also Mark Verheiden's done quite a bit of work with Bruce Campbell.
I feel like that might be a little bit bigger.
That's what I was wondering in all sincerity, because this is about the smallest that I have in that capacity. I was just wondering if this was the same size, because this isn't a whole lot smaller than a comic.
The Lone Wolf and Cub ones were smaller than even regular manga. Like they were tiny.
Yeah.
Like he was saying, like just a comfortable little tiny little like bite-sized comic to read. They were very felt nice reading them.
Oh yeah.
Different formats for different books, I think is kind of cool, and I'm excited to try this thing out with these. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's definitely taken a swing, and it is a little bit risky because we just sold out of the second printing of the Stray Dogs trade, and so we're going to put more trades out, in the, like, Lunar will have more trades to order, so it's a little bit risky going like, here's this other, you can pay the full price for this full-size version, or you can get the smaller one, both volumes together for less. So we'll see how it goes. I think, like, my suspicion is that it's for a different market.
I kind of want to get into one more thing, but we've been running this quest for a while, and I do not want to open that particular bag of worms. I do want your opinion after we wrap this up, though, right? But I want y'all to do, right, is I want you to check all the links in the description, man. You can find all Tony's work. You find out a little about how to find out about Mike, too, man. Maybe go purchase some dope art. You just seen him make a beautiful thing, right? Right, that's funny. It's a beautiful thing, but it actually is a thing. But you know what I mean? So yeah, right. You can find all of Tony's stuff, man, which is extensive. I still like everything from Time Shopper to everything you got coming out now. He's got a bunch of graphic novels about to drop that I'm not gonna buy. I already have the comics, Tony. I'm sorry, and I'm not someone that double dips. I either get the graphic or I get the comic, and I'm good. I don't need them both. It'd be really hard to get me to double dip like that, man. I see people doing it, and I'm like, you could just read them that way. You already have it once, but I don't know. That's just my brain, and my brain is weird, right? But for everybody out there, like I said, scroll down, check out the descriptions. I hope you've enjoyed this quest, right? Right now, if you have enjoyed this quest, what you definitely need to do is go pick up something from Tony, right? Yeah. Like just literally just pick anything. Right, I'm gonna be real honest. Whether if you went and seen the Fantastic Four film, go and grab that first issue of the Thing or the trade if it's out by then. I don't know how all that's gonna correlate. I'll be real honest, right? Or just go and pick up a random graphic, right? Just a random graphic novel, and there's so many things like Tony said. They're jump-in points from Feral to Stray Dogs to Time Shopper, to Local Man. All these things are something you can go grab the first graphic novel, and you don't have to have knowledge of anything, right? You don't. You just jump in and start reading and enjoying a good book, which everybody should enjoy good books more often. Now, I want to say, go ahead, Tony.
That was Mike.
It's the way it should be. That's all.
Yeah. Enjoy a good book.
And it shouldn't matter where you are. You just be able to pick it up and enjoy it and be right in there,
Yes, very much. Yeah. Now, I will say, if for some reason you haven't enjoyed this, right? Firstly, I'm going to ask it every single time, right? Like, why are you here? Why have you watched this entire quest? If you didn't enjoy this, why did you spend this much time hate watching something? And again, I say that as the man that gets the most benefit if you sit and watch all of this, man. Just don't, though. Please find something better to do. Go find something that you enjoy. Don't participate and sit and just consume things that you hate. It's not good for your brain in any way, shape, or form. But if you did, right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go, and I want you to buy one of Tony's books, and then I want you to, make a scorching, just terrible review of it online, saying how much you absolutely hated it and it sucked. Look, Tony, I still sold one of your books. Besides that, I just want y'all to do 3 things, right? 1, always give it that thumbs up. 2, always get your comic on. And 3, have a good night, y'all.
This has been the questionnaire.
Where's the link?
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
In the link below, yes?
I will drop it like it's hot.
That's another party.
It's cool, man. I love it.
The questionnaire.
That is all.